say the line. Yeah. Same way. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Okay. All right, buddy. Theoretically be based on something stable like either service area or population. You want to be able to find.
You tell me, I'm here until the.
We good? Oh, the whole thing?
So you gotta allocate money to people in the budget. And there's no clawing that back from the budget.
Just start.
All right. Marisol, are we ready? All right. Good morning, everybody. Apologies here for some of the technical issues with IT. We were informed that the streaming, we were not streaming at the very beginning of the meeting, so to avoid any procedural issues, we're going to restart the meeting and go really quickly.
So we'll call the meeting to order. It's 9:59 on November 21st. And Eduardo, can you proceed with roll call?
Sure. All right. Chair Cesar Blanco.
Here.
Vice Chair Javier Perea.
Here.
Commissioner Jackie Butler. Mayor Rudy Cruz. Representative Chris Canales. Mayor Ramon Cano. Mayor Miguel Chacon. Representative Alejandra Chavez. Senator Senator Joseph Cervantes. Aaron Chavarria. Anthony DeKaiser. Representative Art Fierro. Commissioner Gloria Gameros. Representative Mary Gonzalez. Iber Hernandez. Commissioner Ilan Holguin. Mayor Renard Johnson. Mayor Martin Lerma. Dion Mack. Representative Joe Moody. Representative Eddie Morales. Mayor Diana Murillo. Tony Nevares. Representative Claudia Ordaz. Representative Vince Perez.
Present online.
Mayor Rachel Quintana. Mayor Andres Renteria. Judge Samaniego. Representative Sarah Silva and Tomas Trevino. So we do have quorum.
Okay, we have quorum. We do have folks signed up for public comment. However, we're going to take those public comments.
We'll take public comment at individual items.
Okay. Moving on to discussion and action.
You want to do the Pledge of Allegiance again?
Yeah, that's discussion and action under item 1. Oh, you want to? Yeah, we'll do the pledge again. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As previously stated, we do have folks signed up for public comment. We'll take those comments per item. Moving on to discussion and action.
All right. Item 1 is consider approval of the minutes of the October 17, 2025 TPB meeting.
Motion approved. Second.
We have a motion. We have a second and a second. Any opposed? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Item 2 is consider approval of the preliminary project list for the Regional Mobility Strategy RMS 2052 Metropolitan Transportation Plan and the RMS 2027-2030 Transportation Improvement Program. Here with a brief presentation is Ann Gallante.
Alrighty, good morning, Anna Gallante for the record. So we're here today to approve the project list for the upcoming Metropolitan Transportation Plan. This is our long-range document. All of the projects that are going to get funded with federal money must be in this plan. This plan gets modeled for its impacts on congestion and air quality, and that is a federal requirement. We do this once every 4 years, so this is the opportunity for plans to get added and subtracted. And this forms the basis of pretty much all of the transportation things that we do, this process that we're going through right now. Let's see, we can probably skip ahead to the project call results, but briefly, we're partway through our development schedule of this plan. The preliminary steps included different iterations and methods of public outreach, plus also last year we brought the vision and the goals to this body for their approval to use in project selection and the development of the plan. We have been working on putting this project list together, creating geographic information for each of the proposed projects, scoring, ranking, and making sure that money was available for everything that made it into the plan. The remaining tasks include actually doing the transportation modeling, writing the plan document, public comment, adoption, and federal review. There's a slide on the goals of the plan. We have things like safety, integrating land use, making sure that our transportation system is comprehensively accessible, expands connectivity, and enhances resiliency and maintains infrastructure. In order to develop this list, we embarked upon a project call process in which we took several steps in getting lists of projects from each of the entities within our MPO region for the projects they wanted to include. We were ultimately, based on anticipated funds available, able to include 78% of the projects for 68% of the money that was initially requested. We had almost $7 billion in requests, and we have about $5.3 billion in anticipated funding for the region. Most of that is in funds exclusively available to TxDOT, and 20%-ish is in categories that are available to local government entities. In the Texas portion of the MTP plan, we have about 11% contingency, which is considered prudent given the way inflation has been riding and also given the unpredictable nature of funding right now. As you may recall, we've had a series of amendments necessary to keep ourselves in fiscal constraint, considering that we saw a reduction of funding of 25% for our congestion mitigation funding within our tip years, with a 50% reduction beyond our tip years. So we think that, given that context, it's prudent to leave a little bit aside for unanticipated rises in costs faster than we calculated inflation, and also it's foreseeable that we could see a somewhat unpredictable funding picture. So 11% contingency is included in that plan. So about 80% of the projects are TxDOT with TxDOT exclusive funds, and about 20% of the projects are local projects with funds available to local entities. Next slide, please. This is a map. This shows where the proposed projects are going to be located throughout our MPO region. This is available in your backup. And then we're going to go briefly section by section. We're going to start with Texas Highway, then Texas Transit, then New Mexico, which encompasses highway and transit. So we have 119 projects, almost $5 billion programmed, 80% TxDOT, 20% local entities. And we're going to look at a couple of pie charts that this shows how that money is proposed to be distributed. Next slide, please. So this is, if we're looking just at number of projects, this is who gets how much. So the larger chunks we've got City of El Paso and TxDOT having the most with good chunks by Socorro, the county, Horizon City, and then also we have a few for San Elizario, Project Amistad, one combined city and county project, one for UTEP, one for Vinton, and one for Anthony. Next slide is going to look at the total funding breakdown for everybody, and then we're going to see one more that just looks at, if we take TxDOT out of there and just look at the local entities. All righty, so biggest slice of the pie, TxDOT projects with TxDOT money. This makes sense. Freeways are more expensive than local streets. And then you can see in the other roughly quarter of the pie, the share that everybody else gets. And then next, we're going to look at just the local entities, who gets how much. Next slide, please. So this is a breakdown if we take TxDOT out of it and we just show the distribution of the local funds to the various local entities. About half of that goes to the city of El Paso, and county gets a little more than a quarter, and then everybody else gets is in the remaining quarter. Next slide, please. So for Texas Transit, we are assuming over the entire life of the program, about $600 million, most of that being in formula funds that go directly to our transit providers for them to program, and about $61 million over the life of the program is this the 5310 program, which the MPO administers. This provides services directly to seniors, disabled individuals, and veterans. This is mostly, we do a project call every other year or so, and so this is reflecting, we get, just the amount over the 20 plus years covered by this plan. And then in New Mexico, we have about $845 million in funding available, projected to spend about $809 million of that with about a 5% contingency. Most of that is going to NMDOT for 7 projects. And then for local entities, this covers the spread of the remaining share. We have Anthony and Sunland Park. Anthony, New Mexico is getting almost $40 million for 3 projects, and Sunland Park is getting about $218 million for 5 projects. But if we take the port of entry that's proposed for the New Mexico region out of there, then the remaining projects comprise about almost $44 million. Next slide, please. So that is just an overhead view of the 100 and some odd projects that are programmed over the next 20 plus years for our program in this project list that we're presenting to you for approval today. So we also, in addition to having a requirement to have our Metropolitan Transportation Plan, we also have a requirement that we have a 4-year fiscally constrained short-term planning document. So most of the time when we bring items before you, this is what we're amending. We're amending, funding or timing or programming new things into the project or the list that covers the next 4 years. And the state mandates the time year period. We do this on a cycle with all of the other MPOs in Texas. We're currently midway through the 25 to 28 cycle, but this year we need to work on the 27 to 2030 cycle. So the project list that covers years 27 to 30 in the MTP is also the project list that's going to become the basis of the 20 to 30 TIP. So we are asking this body to approve the project list for both things today. So within years 2027 to 2030, we have about $1.2 billion in funds. Reflects a similar split to the MTP in terms of the distribution of TxDOT versus local entities. And we're expending pretty close to all of that. We got 11 TxDOT projects and 23 local entity projects. Next slide, please. And then this just lists who gets how much for what. And this list is in your backup, and in the interest of time, we'll be moving forward. So our recommendation to you all today is that you approve the draft preliminary project list for the 2052 MTP, as well as for the 27 to 2030 TIP. And that concludes my presentation.
Members, any questions? Motion approved.
Oh, yeah, and TPAC's recommendation is approved.
Thank you. We've got a motion to approve. You have a second?
We have a lot of public comment then.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We do have some questions. You have questions? We can go ahead and.
I was recently in a meeting with El Paso Water Utilities, and they were talking about population projections and how they're planning for infrastructure development. I'm curious about the last, what population projection modeling are you using? Are you, when you're making these decisions, are you thinking about a decreased population size, or are you still using the projection models that you were using previously with an increased population size?
No, every time that we go in a plan update, every 4 years, we update, the projections. We have been using traditionally the projections coming out of the state demographer's office. And I don't know if you've been following the news recently, but there's some concern about the growth rate of El Paso County compared to other areas in the state of Texas. So that is included in our projections. In other words, the growth rate is not as robust as it was in the past, to account for that. But again, these are projections. We're looking at 2052 as our horizon year. So it's out there in the future. But indeed, to answer your question, yes, we take into consideration the latest information available. And again, we're using the projections from the state demographer's office. In other words, we don't come up with those control totals for El Paso County or for New Mexico internally, us. Our job is, we take those control totals and through a process that includes input from, multiple people. And this time, I think Salvador is still here. We can get into one of the innovative procedures that we use system using a land use model, Urban Sim. But we can have that discussion. But to answer your question, yes, we are always, mandated to use the latest planning assumptions.
I guess my other question is, I see in the plan there are projects that are still obviously taking public comment, and that there are maybe even some concerns. And I'll be really transparent. Everybody knows I have very real concerns about Border Highway East. It's on the plan. It's on the plan to be funded. So what does that mean for somebody like me who has to now take a vote? Which that vote is very transparent to people I have made commitments to, saying I'm against this.
Right. So projects that are in the outer years, like Border Highway East, I forget exactly where, the two phases are in the outer years. So they are funded with funds that we anticipate that we will get in the future, right? It's not the same thing as, like Ann was explaining, like a project in the TIP in the next 4 years. Those projects are funded with real money, right? The projects, as you get farther out, projects are matched with, funding that we anticipate that will be available within reason to the region, right? In the case of a Border Highway East that you mentioned, that project has been looked at, by TxDOT and by the MPO and by many for many years, but there's still not a firm commitment to advance it, in the next few years. There's been a lot of feasibility study planned, as you well know. There's still, from a congestion relief, a high level, we still think that it's a good project. But once we get into the actual details of, alignments and all that, that is still an activity that needs to be done in the future. But we still think that from a regional perspective and for...
My question wasn't about you selling Border Highway East. My question is it's on the plan and it has some potential, it has predicted funding connected to it in this proposal. So voting for this, I would be therefore supporting the predicted funding for the future. Is that accurate?
Yeah, yeah. Along with, how many projects? 118 projects.
I understand.
All right.
We have Representative Canales, and we'll have the mayor.
I marked a few projects I had questions on. Sorry, diving into the project list a little bit. 17 and 18, that's the Montecillo design phase and the Montecillo construction phase. There's like 6-year gap.
Yes.
Do we anticipate, would we anticipate 6-year design phase, or is that just how we were able to fit the funding?
It's how we were able to fit the funding.
Okay. But theoretically, there would be that large of a gap between design and construction?
Yes.
I mean, could be, but if that is a project that gets traction, it becomes more of a priority, then we would work with a sponsoring agency to accelerate the implementation. Right. For now, this is just like not a guess, but it fits with where the funding is.
Anything so our assumed caps for category 7, which is the funding through which we can build new roadways for local projects, we're assuming $26 million a year. So anything with a price tag approaching that or exceeding that, we need to accumulate multiple years of Cat 7 funding in order to make it happen, and we need to do nothing else within those years. So just for those larger projects, they are spaced a little further apart, and they do have kind of longer lead ups because that's what's necessary in order for us to just get it working fiscally.
Okay, yeah, I noticed similar on Paso del Norte Bridge, port replacement. There's the feasibility, and then 5 or 6 years later, the potential construction as well. Similar problem. And then, let me see, downtown safe streets, I think was the next one. Yeah, number 34. Is that the city's repackaging of what was formerly the CBD4?
Yes, that is.
Okay. Let's see, one more. The 85, 87, 88 is the Hero. We don't have funding category listed here. Where do we anticipate that multi-year Hero funding coming from?
Cat 7.
Oh, Cat 7. Okay. And we anticipate we'll have sustainable source of Cat 7 for Hero into at least these few future years.
For Hero, yes. For CRP, we are assuming that program ends after 2028.
Okay. Yeah, text up. Love the Hero program. I hope that we find something long-term sustainable for that program as well. Maybe your most frequent caller. Every time I see someone trying to change a tire with their foot hanging out into the lane, I call and there's a Hero there within a few minutes. So really appreciate that program.
And to that point, that is the only TxDOT project that is funded with Category 7. That's not a traditional TxDOT project. I think like you well say, I mean, everybody uses Hero. So, we feel that it's not just a TxDOT project, right? So it helps everybody. So
they administer the program, but it benefits.
Exactly right.
That was all of my project-specific questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor?
So I'm going to piggyback a little bit off of the question that Representative Gonzalez had concerning the modeling and I'd like to talk a little bit about the growth and how this was all put together. I think there's more a question, can this be amended before the 4-year timeline, right? Within those 4 years. And the reason why is Horizon City, 2 years ago, we had a growth rate of around 19%. We're 2 years now, as of 2 months ago, we're at 31.9% growth rate. So that's just going to keep increasing for Horizon City. So this project list, I mean, I was going through all the projects. Yes, those are needed. However, I think the timelines that are here we're going to reach those so much faster than we had anticipated. Now, the question is, and, this is kind of for everybody here, because everybody's gonna experiencing growth on that side of town. Socorro, Sanelli. If that happens, how can these be amended, or is there another look that, can we take another look at that here in a couple of years prior to the 4 years? Because honestly, with 4 years from now, I could be at an even higher growth rate. And right now, I'm looking at, in 4 years, we're gonna increase our population by about 10,000 people. So how do we do that?
Well, it's a loaded question.
Okay.
It really is.
Couple of different, this is going to be a little bit of a nuanced answer. So within our transportation modeling, we have what's called network years, which basically it's a snapshot of everything that's open to the public on each of those years. So right now, the very first snapshot, we're using 2022 as a basis. The first snapshot is taken at 2027, then 2032, 2042, and 2052. If you are moving projects within the same network year, we don't need to rerun the model. We might need to do formal amendments to get things in the 4-year fiscally constrained plan, provided additional money is found, because we can only program as fast as we can find funds. If you are going to be changing network years, if you're going to be accelerating something into a sooner snapshot than it was additionally programmed, that does require us to rerun the model. And it is technically possible. There is a process for it. It takes about 18 months. And we had to do that for a couple of projects with an amended MTP process that concluded this past April. So there is a process, but it is much easier on all parties involved, to wait till the 4-year opening of the project list.
But I think part of the answer is on the demographics, right? On growth rates and all that. So we are anticipating that explosive growth. The question is, how do we address it, right? And that's what we still need to do with this. This is why we're calling this a preliminary project list, because now that we have this, a higher level of certainty on what projects are going to make it, now we need to start running the models and make sure that we are addressing congestion in the best way that we can. And it's not just about congestion, it's safety and it's, connectivity and so on. But what is also true is that, because we've seen that in the past, right? There's not enough money to cover all of the needs for everybody throughout the region. I mean, there's not. So that's why we go through this process, and we are very careful to prioritize, evaluate and prioritize projects, right? And to do that, we go through a process. It's a quantitative. There's a selection criteria that we coordinated through the Technical Advisory Committee, through TPAC, and so that's a little bit more quantitative. But the other piece that I personally feel is very important is that we went back to the agencies and make sure that we understand the individual priorities for the city of El Paso, for the county, for Horizon, for all of you, because no selection criteria is perfect, right? As much as we love to say that it's data driven and all that, right? But we want to make sure that we're not missing projects that are priority for the individual sponsors. So it's a long answer to your question that it's not easy, but we do the best that we can, but we are including those growth projections.
And honestly, I just wanted clarification to make sure that we could do that within the 4 years.
Yes.
Because honestly, the growth that we're looking at
Right.
here on that side of the county is, we probably need to take a look at that model again, because it's just growing so fast out there.
Right.
Thank you.
Representative Chavez.
Thank you, Chairman. The projected cost that's listed, is that projected in the year that the project is going to take place?
Yes.
And I guess a little bit, like Mayor Renteria was saying, is there any opportunity to advance some of these projects in the future?
Yes. I mean, for example, if additional funding is found, through a local source or through like a federal grant or something, yeah, clearly those projects will be advanced. But if it's a project that is competing with this for the same pot of money, well, that's what this process is all about, right? So if you want to advance a project, well, likely something needs to move out, right? So that those discussions are the ones that happen as part of the process.
Do you know how often that happens? Or how accurate this timeline really is?
Well, I mean, it's our best estimate based on need, but also based on where individual projects are as far as development, right? If you tell me that it's a $50 million project that you want in 2 years, but there's no engineering, no environmental, you're going to need to acquire right away. It's not going to happen in 2 years, right? So that's in the outer years. But like Ann was saying, that we get into the technicalities that if it's an added capacity project that triggers conformity, then it's very time consuming to do that. And this is one of the reasons why we want to make sure that we have a good list as we start modeling. Because once we approve the plan and the conformity gets approved by the federal partners, making changes is onerous for all of us.
Representative Gonzalez.
Thank you. I want to build a little bit on what Mayor Renteria said. I think what I have concerns with beyond the Border Highway East component is if you go back to the graph that shows the percentage of El Paso, Horizon, Socorro, County, et cetera, that pie chart, it's complicated. I represent both El Paso and the more rural communities or suburban communities. But the other one, the local projects one, that one. Like Mayor Renteria said, Horizon population is growing 31%. The city of El Paso population is growing by 0.05% according to the El Paso Times in May. I don't want us to get hyper competitive, but are we distributing in a fair way? And how are we making sure that we're distributing in fair ways? Because when I think about population growth and changes, I would think that 50% would be Horizon, Socorro, the county, because people are moving to those areas, and yet we're planning for more of that pie. And I represent El Paso too, so it's a complicated situation, but it does seem that there might be some gaps for these communities that are starting to feel the growth in their communities that is not being felt. And the other thing is they're new communities. So El Paso has roads in some ways, whereas Horizon still is building roads. And so I'm curious about these numbers attached with growth.
Well, it should be stated that 100% of the projects submitted by the county and by the communities to the east, they got literally everything that they requested. We had to make it work in terms of just when we can afford to do what with the money that we anticipate being available. But the communities that had projects moved to the information list were the larger ones that had submitted more. So literally everything that was submitted, that was requested from us, from those communities, and to include the county, made it into the plan.
I think I hear you, but I know I grew up in Clint. We don't have transportation engineers, right? So I think that sometimes, yes, maybe they submitted for X, but maybe they didn't even submit for something else because of capacity issues. And so again, I guess I would love to see a chart of distribution based on population growth and how we're modeling that.
Sure, absolutely.
If I may.
And I just want to say, like, I love El Paso too. I love everybody. I just want it to be fair.
Do you have any more questions?
Thank you.
Mayor.
So yes, everything was granted because of funding, but maybe not in the year that we're looking at. So if, some of these projects here, we're looking at, 2052 or 2042 for Horizon. That's, we're looking 15 years down the line where I the city may be looking at looking at that construction here in 3 years or 4 years. That's where I'm getting at. So because of the growth. So I understand completely, and we're grateful that the funding is there. Believe me, it's a funding game. We understand.
Right.
So,
So
I
I'm sorry.
I think it was just a comment.
yes.
So I think one of the things also to remember is that when we're analyzing this, part of decision lens is a criteria. We're not just solely looking at population, but we're looking at where active transportation is. We're looking at some of the exterior transportation actually coming into the city of El Paso, right? So there were other criteria that were looked at, not solely
Correct.
based upon that. So maybe
Yeah. So it's not necessarily, where population is, right? But it's more where the trends and where we are anticipating growth and congestion, right? So that's to your point, Rep. Gonzalez. But yeah, there, like you say, Ms. Hernandez, the selection criteria includes not just, congestion relief, right? It includes other elements like you will state like, active transportation, multimodal, but it's also connectivity, safety, and other elements.
Any other questions? We've got public comment, right?
Right, okay. So moving on, we have several people here in person and several that sent in that we will read into the record. So if it's okay, Mr. Chair, we'll start with those in person, with Mr. Diego Reyes. And as a reminder, you have 3 minutes. And Nick, can you help us with the...
Hi, I'm Diego Reyes, and I wanted to speak on agenda item 2 and setting aside the funds for the downtown deck plaza. Right now I'm at EPCC. I'm studying architecture, and a week ago, the Downtown Deck Plaza Foundation had actually came to our school and to talk about that whole project. Before then, I had heard about the project, but I had mostly heard what was on, BitFam and all those social media sites. But once they came to us to talk about it, it really opened my eyes and it got me excited for the future of our city. I think timing-wise, the highways are only redone every 50 years. So timing-wise, this is a once-in-a-50-year opportunity to do this deck plaza. And right now in school, we're learning about urban planning and city design and the importance of these public spaces and what they do for the health of the community and to just bring the community together in general. So I hope that this project continues to get support because it's exciting, especially for me. I'm 19, so by the time this project comes to fruition, it's right in my kind of generation. So it's something that's exciting. It's something that will impact El Paso greatly, positively, and it is possible. So I hope that this project comes to fruition because I really want to see it happen. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, next, we have Analisa Cordova.
Good morning. My name is Annalisa Cordova, and I stand before you today to speak on item number 2 as you discuss the recommended project list for the region's 2052 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. I'm here to support the designation of a full $25 million in funding for the transformative Deck Plaza project. I commend our elected representatives for their vision and commitment to modernizing I-10, but that modernization must include the breathtaking vision of a 6.5-acre green space, which will fundamentally be a new jewel in our downtown. I'm a fifth-generation El Pasoan West Side resident, and I have been civically engaged before I could vote. I've advocated for every quality of life project because they're more than amenities. They are investments that generate value for our residents, attract tourists, inspire our expats to return home. My grandparents' first home stood right along I-10 on the corner of Brown and Missouri Street. I have a personal generational connection to this corridor. Think about the tourism. The drive-through El Paso on I-10 is the one thing every out-of-towner mentions when you say you're from El Paso. Imagine their experience when they drive through and see a vibrant community, bike trails, linking neighborhoods to a thriving downtown, a massive green space in the middle of a desert. They won't just pass through, they will make El Paso a destination, pull off the road, and spend money at our businesses. Investing in the Deck Plaza is investing in the future of this region. By capping the freeway, we are ensuring that this major infrastructure project does more than move traffic. It strengthens the connections between our neighborhoods and downtown that will dramatically elevate the quality of life for every resident. Since the renovation of downtown, I've planned countless fundraisers at San Jacinto and have used our beautiful downtown as a backdrop for an alfresco gala. I can tell you plainly, San Jacinto Park, while beautiful, is not big enough. People are starving for community spaces where they can truly gather. I work downtown, and at night, I see running and cycling groups in droves. We need a park big enough to hold concerts, major events, large runs, and outdoor movies. On the eve of Winterfest, there's no better time than today to fully support the Deck Plaza. I traveled to Austin and spent money to participate in their Trail of Lights run. Imagine the pride of being able to do that right here in my own community. Please support the $25 million to fund the Deck Park Plaza and make this vision a reality. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Daniela Estrada.
Hello, I'm also here to talk to you guys about agenda item number 2. My name is Daniela Estrada, and I'm a proud born and raised El Pasoan. I've been blessed to travel all over the United States, but in my opinion, nothing will ever compare to the Sun City. The city deserves to look the way it makes its residents and visitors feel. 50 years ago, when I-10 split downtown, they split the heart of El Paso into 2. Now we're given the chance through the Deck project to unify the past, present, and future generations of El Paso. The Deck project is an opportunity to reconnect communities and bring a world-class urban park to El Paso. As a public health student attending UTEP, I must mention the tremendous public health benefits the Deck Park would have. In a study published by the NIH, it was found that public parks are critical resources for physical activity in minority communities. Because residential proximity is strongly associated with physical activity and park use, the number and location of parks are currently insufficient to serve local populations well, end quote. With that statistic being said, I ask, what is a better location to serve our local minority population of 81% Hispanic population than the heart of this city? Another study also published by the NIH links green spaces to better mental health, including lower odds of anxiety and depression. The Deck project provides an opportunity to not only beautify El Paso by displaying its unique and wondrous flora, but also it impacts the mental well-being of its citizens and visitors. The scientific journal concludes with a call to action that, quote, more green spaces should be considered in city planning, end quote. I believe El Paso is just the city to answer that call. The Deck Park would help bring El Paso to a healthier tomorrow. I hope that we have your support and we can build an even better El Paso, one that is healthy, safe, and united. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Matthew Guzman. And after him, Manny Rodriguez. You want to get closer to him?
Morning, everyone. Excuse my voice. I'm here also to speak in support of the funding for the deck park. I moved here in 2015 with my wife with a 2-year plan to get out of debt and enjoy some sunshine and golf while we were here, and then make a beeline back to Chicago where we moved from. At the 2-year mark, we decided, El Paso's okay. We can do this for another year. Let's stick around. And we kept saying that year after year. We did that a few times until a house in Sunset Heights popped up on the market and opened our eyes that there was urban living right here in El Paso, which is something that we were seeking for ourselves and our family. The urban lifestyle is something that I think has been overlooked in El Paso. I tell this story to highlight 2 things. The first is it's incredibly difficult to recruit people to El Paso, and it's equally difficult to retain them. It takes time for the beauty of the desert and the charm of El Paso to sink into a non-native. And the second reason is to highlight the fact that I don't think we would have stayed here if it weren't for finding Sunset Heights and urbanism here in El Paso. Young families and young professionals, the very demographic that we're trying to attract and retain, they don't want to live in the fringes of a city. They want to live in the middle of it all. They want to feel the heartbeat of the city and be a part of the activity of everyday life. So I urge you guys not to view the deck park as an expense or a line item on the budget. It's really an investment, a meaningful and impactful investment in the city that we want to build for professionals and innovators. We need to create that central hub. And, to these people's point about growth, there's some red flags right now in the city of El Paso. We're seeing our growth slow. It's having a very real and tangible impact on our public schools. We're seeing those close because families are leaving the city. If we don't do something to attract them back, I think we're going to continue down a path of shrinking. And if our population goes from growth to shrinkage, it's going to fall on every taxpayer to an exponential point. So I just urge you guys, as you have a voice and a vote going forward about the deck park, consider those things. Let's invest in the core. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right now we have Manny Rodriguez.
Thank you. Good morning and thank you. Chair and members of the Transportation Policy Board, my name is Manny Rodriguez, speaking on behalf of the El Paso Chamber, which represents over 400 organizations across businesses, nonprofit, healthcare, education, and public sector partners across our region. I'm also here on behalf of our President and CEO, Ricardo Mora, who could not be present today as our team is presenting our annual report to the El Paso Chamber membership. I'm here to speak on item 2 and express the Chamber's strong support for the recommended designation of $25 million for the Downtown Deck Plaza project as part of the region's 2052 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. I also want to thank everyone who continues to support the modernization of I-10, reflected in the project list, including $500 million for I-10, project number 89, and for recognizing the critical opportunity to integrate a 6.5-acre cap over the freeway as part of this effort. This isn't just about modernizing a highway, it's about building the next generation of mobility, commerce, and regional connectivity. Highways are redesigned roughly every 50 years. Therefore, we won't get this chance again. As we reinvest in I-10, we must use this once-in-a-generation opportunity to cap the highway and reconnect neighborhoods long divided by it. The Deck Plaza will generate significant returns for our region, new jobs, increased foot traffic, support for small businesses, multimodal connections, housing opportunities, and meaningful environmental and health benefits. A recent impact study estimates it will create nearly $1 billion in economic activity for El Paso. This project is more than a park, it's an economic development infrastructure that brings people back into the heart of the city, supports mixed-use growth, and improves quality of life. With more green space, walkable and bike-friendly design, and new public gathering areas, the Deck Plaza has the potential to reconnect communities and create a safer, healthier, a more vibrant downtown for families, workers, and visitors. The MPO support and designation of funding would be a major milestone, not just for the project itself, but for El Paso's future. We have a real opportunity to lead the nation in how highways are reintegrated into urban cores, combining mobility, safety, innovation, and community connection. But we can only accomplish this through collaboration across public, private, and nonprofit partners, which is what the El Paso Chamber is here to do and to convene. On behalf of the El Paso Chamber, I respectfully urge the board to continue supporting the Deck Park Plaza and to approve the recommended $25 million project designation in today's plan. Thank you for your time and for your continued leadership on regional mobility. Joe.
Now, next we have Joe Gudenrath.
Good morning, Joe Gudenrath, Executive Director of the Downtown Management District, and I also sit on the Deck Plaza Foundation. Got a lot of great speakers, so I'm not going to repeat a lot of what they've had to say. But within the Downtown Management District, while we're a jurisdiction within the heart of this area here and primarily serve the property owners and businesses and stakeholders within the district, we view it as part of our obligation and our goal to really develop downtown as a regional economic driver for the entire region and to attract people from outside of El Paso into our community to help further our economy, again, throughout the region. The Deck Plaza Foundation has done an extensive study on the economic benefits of the Deck Plaza. I'm here to also talk about in support of the support for the Deck Plaza, as well as the modernization of I-10. Appreciate your support in that. And then back to the Deck Plaza Foundation has supported or has created an economic impact study that can get into the details of how beneficial the Deck Plaza will be. But I also want to highlight the qualitative benefits that this transportation, the modernization of I-10, as well as the creation of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for public investment in public space will be for our community. Tomorrow's a big day for downtown in El Paso and the region. I want to thank the city of El Paso and give them a plug for all the work they're doing with Winterfest. If you want to see how transportation impact and public spaces impact the quality of life of our community, come downtown tomorrow. What you will see are people from throughout the entire El Paso region, visitors to our community, enjoying our public spaces. A significant amount of them will be traveling on I-10 to get downtown, so get here early. There'll be a little congestion, but you will see our community truly enjoying great public spaces, great activation, and again, being an economic driver for our community. So again, I encourage your support for the funding for the Deck Plaza, your continued support for the modernization of I-10, and thank you for your time today.
Mr. Chair, I have three that were submitted in writing that I'll read into the record. So the first one is from Mr. Daniel Rubio. My name is Daniel Rubio, and I am both a local business owner and a resident of the Sunset Heights neighborhood. I'm writing today in strong support of allocating the proposed $25 million toward the Deck Park Plaza project. When my family and I chose Sunset Heights as our home, one of the most exciting prospects was the future development of the Deck Park Plaza. At the time, my children were too young to fully grasp what such a space could mean for a community, but now, years later, they are thrilled by the possibility of having a world-class public park just steps from our home. Their excitement reminds me that this project is not simply for those of us here today, it's an investment in the generations that will follow. The Deck Park Plaza represents opportunity for community connection, for economic growth and tourism, to create a healthier, greener, more livable city, and to show our children what vision and progress looks like. El Paso deserves projects that elevate our identity, encourage families, entrepreneurs, and visitors to plant roots here. This development will be a meaningful step forward for our city's continued growth, resilience, and ability to compete with other thriving metropolitan areas. As someone who lives here, raises a family here, and operates a business here, I urge you to move forward in support of the funding request. Our future families, future businesses, and future El Pasoans depend on the decision made today. The Deck Park Plaza is more than infrastructure. It's a statement of confidence in our city's potential. Thank you for your time, your leadership, and your consideration of this transformative project. I hope you will join me and many others in supporting a stronger, more connected, and more vibrant El Paso. Respectfully, Daniel Rubio. Next, we have another comment from Mr. Joseph Soto. Hello, my name is Joseph Soto, and I'm writing to express my support for item 2 of the project list for this region's 2052 Metropolitan Transportation Plan. I support designating $25 million for funding of the Deck Plaza project. My appreciation goes to our elected officials for continuing to help modernize downtown. My family has lived and worked downtown and south of El Paso for almost 100 years. My grandfather and father witnessed the construction of I-10 in the late 50s and early 60s, which resulted in the separation of downtown. Now, with a new highway update occurring, I believe we have a chance to not only reunify the area, but add beauty and opportunities. As a business owner, I not only work in the downtown area, but also frequently enjoy the many events and attractions that are present here. By building the Deck Plaza, we will expand the opportunities present in our city. The Deck Plaza will bring new investment into the area and boost the number of visitors downtown. I appreciate the opportunity to convey my thoughts on the Deck Plaza and hope that you will vote in favor of the recommended project list. And then finally, we have a comment from Piers Posiger, is that? Posiger. And I checked with legal to see if there was any issues with this. And you'll see. Dear MPO, my name is Piers Posiger, and I am 9 years old. I think we need the Deck Park because it is something a lot of El Pasoans have wanted. It is also one of our biggest projects that we have been looking forward to. The Deck Park could give other people from out of town something to come see, and it would also make downtown look a lot nicer and give kids and families time to enjoy. One of my friends, who is also 9 years old, wants the Deck Park too. A lot of people are crossing their fingers for the Deck Park. Sincerely, Piers Posiger.
So, any more public comment?
That's it for public comment.
Do we have a motion? Motion approved. We have a motion. Do we have a second? Do we have a second? Second. Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Nay.
One opposed. Motion passes.
All right, item number 3 is consider approval of amendments to the El Paso MPO bylaws. Mr. Chair.
Yeah, let me take an opportunity just to touch base on this. I know there's an agenda item that we've focused on in the past, but I want to clarify a point from last TPP's meeting regarding the county attorney's office work with the MPO. Commissioner Butler had noted that the county attorney was waiting for the commissioner's court to meet before submitting recommendations. And at that time, we didn't have the full context for the timing. And with that information that we have now, I want to make sure that I'm very clear that the county attorney's office was working within their own procedural time constraints and that they were coordinating with the MPO, our legal counsel, in order to provide that input. However, the timing made it impossible to meet those posting deadlines required under the MPO bylaws. So I want to clarify my comments. They weren't intended to highlight those procedural realities. They were intended, rather, and I didn't want to suggest that the county attorney's office did not cooperate. And I know we've got our county attorney, Christina Sanchez, here, and her deputy, Erica Rosales, who have been working very closely with our legal counsel as well. So they were working under their constraints as well. So I want to make sure that if my comments made it sound that way, I apologize if they do and they were inaccurate. But that leads us to the larger issue before us today on this agenda item. This situation demonstrates why it's neither sustainable nor appropriate for an external government entity to influence or to control the government structure of this TPB. Even in the best of intentions, deferring meeting schedules, internal processes create delays, and it's creating a lot of uncertainty within the MPO. And we're risking compliance. compliance that may hinder the MPO's ability to move these transportation dollars to these projects. And the MPO, quite frankly, can't operate effectively if its legally mandated timelines depend on another body's calendar or another body's deliberations. This bylaw revision that we're have before us today ensures that the TPP operates independently, that this TPP operates transparently and in full compliance with all the applicable state and federal laws, including the Texas Opens Meeting Act. Specifically, it prevents any outside entity from establishing a quorum within the TPP during its executive session. Over the past several months, 7 to be specific, the MPO and the county representatives have examined multiple options to resolve the quorum issue that we have now. And the MPO evaluated several approaches to maintain that current membership structure, but none proved workable. None of those options are administratively feasible for TPP staff. And Eduardo and his team, they can speak to more in detail if there's additional questions from the board, but these operational challenges they were challenges, and they continue to be. Despite extensive coordination with from the MPO and the county, the current situation that we have now is unsustainable. It's unfair to all the parties involved, especially those constituents that we represent, to continue operating in this way with this uncertainty, with this level of risk of inadvertent legal violations, only to increase this issue and to continue it, allow it to persist. So no statutorily required entity should ever lose its seat at the table. And this current process and some of the proposals, in fact, do that. Under the county proposals, El Paso Area Transit Representative, EPAT, which is currently represented by Commissioner Butler, could be excluded from executive session and those deliberations in executive session that they are legally obligated to participate in. That position represents the people in our county, in the unincorporated area or in the county area that need public transportation. So that voice should be there. However, it creates both compliance risks, it creates unequal governance, which our attorney has communicated to the county attorney's office as well. So as chair of this body, it's my responsibility to lead the MPO in a lawful, in a transparent, in a fair, and regionally focused manner. And the bylaws revision before you today preserves that representation. It allows all entities to participate and avoids disenfranchising any member that represents El Paso County individuals that need public transportation. It doesn't change the current representation for El Paso County. El Paso County still has its 2 elected officials, currently the judge and Commissioner Olguin. And it still retains the El Paso County Mass Transit Authority representative. It just won't be an elected person that creates a quorum. So this change protects every member organization by ensuring compliance with state and federal laws and safeguarding that the MPO's ability to function effectively in the future. Look, many of us have served on this body for many years. This is my 10th. And we have been able to work collaboratively. We've been able to deliver. We've been able to advance a lot of transportation projects that our region deserves. So adopting this bylaw change is going to allow us to continue that mission, to allow us to efficiently and lawfully and in partnership with all of our local stakeholders to be represented on this board. So with that, happy to answer any questions from folks or any additional comments. Commissioner Holguin The floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you for your clarification of your prior statements as well as outlining the history of kind of what got us to this point. So I just wanted to make just one final additional clarification. Part of the discussion that was had last month was regarding who might potentially be able to participate in executive session, and of course, the concern about excluding the EPATS member that you just mentioned. So prior to today's meeting, and I'm not sure of exactly the date, perhaps Ms. Sanchez has it, the county did provide basically our agreement and our concession to that point. And so I believe it was a suggestion by the MPO's attorney at the last meeting that there always be the same two members from the county would be allowed into executive session, so that there's never that uncertainty and that possibility of the EPATS member not being able to participate that you just mentioned. So that's something that the county did agree to based on the last meeting's discussion. So I just wanted to make sure the entire body was aware of that concession by the county.
Any other questions? Some questions, Mr. Moody.
Procedurally first, because I think, obviously all the discussion thus far is about another entity having an operating quorum here or an executive session. There are a number of other amendments to the bylaws that are proposed here that I think no one has any objection to. I guess my question is procedurally today, are we able to divide that question?
That's a question for our legal counsel.
Deborah, are you on? And can you please turn
Yes.
your camera on?
Sure, trying to. It's just not responding very quickly.
We can hear you fine. Can you hear us?
Yes, and maybe I'm blocked from starting it. I've tried. It's not doing anything. But yes, I heard the question. Sure, that could be if there was a motion and a second, take up separately the part of the bylaws amendment. I think it's in Article 3 about membership, and vote on that separately. That, of course, that could be done. It would require a motion and a second and a discussion on that. So it would be a motion to approve the bylaws as proposed. And then once that motion has a second, then someone seeking to further amend it by breaking it in two could make a sub motion to the primary motion.
To approve.
Well, so then that's after public comment, after all that, correct? Procedurally, that's something we do at the back end when we're getting ready to vote. I just want to be clear.
Right. I mean, after an initial presentation, which I think is basically being made now, there could, it would be appropriate for someone to move to adopt the bylaws as proposed, get a second, and then at that point, when the chair calls for discussion, someone like you could make a motion, a sub-motion, to break it into two parts.
Understood. Okay, that's just a procedural question. I have just some factual questions, and I apologize for not being in attendance last month where a lot of this discussion was had. My understanding, and I guess we have people from the county, I assume, that are signed up to.
Do we have anyone signed up to? Yeah, there's no sign up. Nobody signed up.
We don't have any, okay. Well, then I'll ask, the transit authority of the county, their position, obviously in the bylaws, they have a position on the TPP. Is that required under federal law? Their participation at this entity?
Do you want to take that, Deborah, or?
Yes, it's in the federal regulations, it's required that there be representatives of transit authorities, county transit authorities, who is in the bylaws for the MPO. However, there's no requirement that be the chair. It could be any staff person. It's just a representative.
Right.
Okay, no, and I understand that it's still a decision up to that entity who they send.
Right.
But that the seat itself here is mandated. Yeah, I guess I have more questions. Reading through the bylaws of the transit authority itself, the chair is always an official from the county, whether it be a staff person or an elected. And I think currently there's 2 commissioners serving in those 2 out of the 3 positions.
And
The transit authority, Commissioner Butler, Commissioner Stout, and
yes.
one other. So I guess the question I've got is and I've been here, look at the table, this is 14 years I've served here. And never once have we had another entity establishing quorum here. So I do understand that that's clunky and it is a new legal question that we're asking. The concern I have, just as the senator and chairman stated, we don't want another entity essentially dictating how processes work here. Can our bylaws essentially bind another entity that has a lawful seat at this table? And are we opening the door to legal questions about our ability to do that and bind the hands of the transit authority as to who they can send? Because, you know, I know Town of Anthony sits on Transit Authority, Village of Vinton, so out in my area, I think a lot of them are out on the east end of the county that sit there. So that, I don't know if that is a legal question that's been asked by this body before you take an action. Do we have an illegal opinion? Do we have the ability in our bylaws to bind the decision-making of another entity?
I think I would recommend that we discuss legal issues in closed session.
Okay. Are there other MPOs in the state that, so no, not a legal question, but are there other MPOs in the state that have an operating quorum of another entity that sit on their MPO?
You want to take that?
And I believe the county attorney's office did do research on that, Representative.
Has it been submitted to us? And I apologize if I'm behind on this.
And we do have two attorneys, another attorney, including our county attorney. I'm not sure if you would want to hear from them.
I mean, I'm not gonna demand that I hear from them, but I think these are some of the questions that are just good to have on.
Yeah, the answer is yes. There are other MPOs that do operate with a quorum of a third body.
Do you know which ones they are? I thought San Antonio was one of them, but. And what is it? And again, I apologize because I'm sure this was discussed a month ago. What are and you talked about kind of going through the different options of creating some workable framework for both entities. What are the solutions that are employed by those entities? Do we know that? Has that been reviewed?
You can ask our legal counsel. Deborah?
Yeah, the answer to all of your questions about have these things been reviewed, the answer is yes. And considered. I would recommend that to talk about what all the answers are and what all the thoughts are about that. It has been thought about and considered, but I do believe that it's appropriate to have those conversations within closed session. So the answer to the question is, has it been reviewed? The answer is yes.
Would you like to go to an executive session?
I don't want to belabor this point, but because I think it could subject us to some sort of legal action.
Would you like to make a motion?
I move to let the body move into executive session for
We
this.
have a motion to move into executive session. We have a second. We're now in executive session.
All right, so before we do that, some logistical things. We need to clear the room so that only the board members are here. And Marisol, do we have the other WebEx link ready for those board members that are remote?
Sure. Just quickly, I think
then the others would be voted. I think there's like 6 or 7 others voted in the other motion. I don't know how functionally you do that, but that's my motion.
Sorry to be the Robert's Rules.
Sure.
It's
I don't
functionally
operate-
a motion for division of the question.
There you go. I'm not a Robert's Rules guy. I know the Texas House rules.
Okay, so we have a motion, to,
The way that Representative Canales stated it, I would move to divide the question. The separation would be the amendments to bylaws amendments to Article 3, membership, and then the other bylaws amendments being House and the other vote.
and the justification. And the justification for the motion.
I think the other items are unobjectionable. I think there are certain questions as to the Article 3 amendment. At least that's been the bulk of the conversation.
Sure, may I ask one clarifying question before there's a second? Article 3 also contains the addition of the non-voting member from Ciudad Juarez. Thank you. Would you like to?
2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. In the item, in the backup documentation, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 amendments proposed. And the only item that I would like to divide is the second bullet point there, addition of clarifying language on where is it? Not that one. There it is. The third bullet point, addition of language defining a policy that TPP membership may not constitute a quorum of another local unit of government. The other 7 I would divide out into another question.
So we have a motion to separate. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. All in favor, let's take a roll call vote.
Actually, if I may. Sorry, am I right?
You're right.
Yeah. There was a motion and a second prior to that.
There was one on the table.
So there was one on the table. So I think, if I'm correct, council, that has to be voted on prior. Is that?
What was the first
The
motion?
motion was to adopt the item. To approve the item, there was a motion by the mayor. There was a second by Mayor Cruz. So Deborah, we have a motion and we have a second on approving the agenda item. And then there was a second motion to amend by Representative Moody. Procedurally, Deborah, what do we need to do? Do we need to vote on the first motion?
I think that we can vote on the sub-motion. And if, I'd have to, I can get a copy. But I think that if it's amenable to the motion maker, makes the difference on how you proceed. Let me look it up.
Okay.
I didn't anticipate this question, so let me look it up.
Yeah, and it's already been restated by the chair. So we have a sub-motion on the floor. We have a second for that sub-motion. I'm gonna ask for a roll call vote. Show the chair voting nay on that sub-motion.
Okay. All right, so on this sub-motion, Chair Blanco, no. Vice Chair Perea?
Make clear what
Vote.
voting on.
Oh, do you have to be present to vote?
This is on
No.
the division of the question.
Division of the question, right?
Right.
Just to separate
Yeah.
the two things.
Mayor Perea? But you have to turn. Okay. Mayor Cruz? Representative Canales?
Aye.
Mayor Chacon? Representative Chavez?
Are you voting on the first motion or
No.
On the
Just
division.
divide,
the
just to
second.
divide them.
To divide it. Aaron Chavarria? Anthony DeKaiser? Representative Fierro,
Aye.
Commissioner Gameros, Representative Gonzalez,
Aye.
Yvette Hernandez, Commissioner Holguin, Mayor Johnson, Mayor Lerma, Representative Moody,
Aye.
Representative Perez,
This is a vote to divide the items?
yes.
Nay.
Mayor Renteria, and Tomas Trevino. All right, so the nays win.
So the nays have it, the motion for division does not pass. Back to the main motion. We have a second, and we have a motion, and we have a second. All in favor say, well, let's take a roll call vote. All in favor say aye. Those against obviously nay.
Roll call.
Show the chair voting aye on the motion.
Okay. Vice Chair Perea,
Aye.
Mayor Cruz,
Aye.
Representative Canales. Aye. Mayor Chacon,
Aye.
Representative Chavez. Aaron Chavarria. Anthony De Kaiser. Representative Fierro. Commissioner Gameros. Representative Gonzalez. Yvette Hernandez. Commissioner Holguin. Mayor Johnson. Mayor Lerma. Representative Moody. Representative Perez.
Aye.
Mayor Renteria. And Tomas Trevino.
Aye.
All right. Motion carries.
Motion carries. Thank you. Next item?
All right. Item number 4, consider adoption of the Borderplex Safe Mobility Plan and its goal of continually reducing and ultimately eliminating the number of fatalities, serious injuries, and cycling and pedestrian-related crashes by half in 2035 and by 0 in 2050 through implementing safety countermeasures. So we have a presentation on this, but I think, Mr. Chair, if it's okay with you, you know that we've been working on this safety action plan, and one of the requirements from the federal grant program is for this board to adopt it. And
We've lost quorum.
Okay, 13?
Not on there.
13, yes, we're
14.
one.
Check to see if anyone went to the restroom.
is there anybody out there in the,
Grab.
Hold hostage.
He's working on it. He was trying to get somebody else.
Renteria should be something. Yeah, he's true. He's coming back. He can't leave, he left his laptop. I know where he is. I went there too.
They are, at least to me.
I'll make a phone call right here. Yes, try to clear that morning. In the afternoon. Yeah.
No, this is a 9:30 start.
Six-inch diameter drill shaft, and they cost a bit. Or we can't even adjourn. Is there somebody who just looked into the bathroom? He's coming back. Finally got it. Such a quick. I ran outside looking for him, but we're good. Yeah. Okay, well, quickly, can we get?
Do we have 16?
Were there 16?
Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Okay, there we go. We got quorum again. So again, on item 4, what we need is what we're asking for is the approval of the adoption of the Boardplex Safe Mobility Plan, our safety action plan. It's all the information is in your backup.
Members, any questions? Sir. To approve. We have a motion to approve. We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
So item 5 is consider approval of amendments to the amended RMS 2050 MTP and RMS 2025-2028 TIP to program the following projects using fiscal year 26-28 Texas Transportation Alternative Set Aside TASA program funding as recommended by the TASA Project Call Ad hoc Committee. And items A, B, and C as written in the agenda, we recommend approval for this.
Questions? Motion approved. No motion, okay. Oh, you got a motion to approve. We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6, consider approval of an amendment to the RMS 25-28 TIP to remove the Border Highway Connector construction phase CRN E100-391 project from Appendix D. Again, we recommend approval for that. It's a procedural item.
Questions or discussions?
Motion. Very quick.
We have a question?
Just very quickly, this is because of it being pushed out of the funding year and it's no longer eligible in the
Well, because it's now funded for construction, so now it's programmed as on the regular TIP. So it's no longer needed to have it in Appendix D.
Thank you. Any other questions or discussion? All right, do we have a motion? Motion. Second. We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes.
Item 7, consider approval of amendments to the amended RMS 2050 MTP and the RMS 2025-2028 TIP for the following projects. And the projects are as described in the agenda, and we recommend approval for this.
One note on this item. We've got a floor amendment for 7B. The CSJ and the NPOID were listed incorrectly on the agenda. The correct CSJ is 0924-06-734, and the MPOID is M506.
We're going to vote on the amendment. Do we need to vote on the amendment?
I'm not sure if we needed to vote on the amendment.
I'll make a motion to approve the item, including the amendment.
Do we have a second? Second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Okay. Item 8, consider approval of an amendment to the amended RMS 2050 MTP and the RMS 2025-2028 TIP for the Lake Street construction project to move the project from fiscal year 27 to fiscal year 29 and to deprogram the project from the RMS 2025-2028 TIP. The item is just to move it, and it's procedural in terms of moving from one TIP to the other. So we recommend approval.
Any questions, members? Any discussion? Do we have a motion? Motion approved. We have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
All right. Item 9 is consider authorizing the executive director to execute the contract amendment between the Texas Commission on Environmental Quality, TCEQ, and the El Paso MPO for the Rider 7 State and Local Air Quality Planning Program, PM 2.5 program, contract number 582-24-01394, to include an additional $320,510.06 in funding for fiscal years 26 and 27. This is a great thing. We get more money from TCEQ to continue doing our work, so we obviously recommend approval.
Any questions on more money? We have a motion to approve. We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item 10, consider authorizing the executive director to execute an amendment to task order number 1 between the Texas A&M University Transportation Institute and the El Paso MPO for training, technology, transfer, support, and other related training services to increase a maximum amount payable from $25,000 to $49,000. So again, this is, we use this task order to provide the training to the board. The estimate that we had from 2 years ago of $25,000, we need to increase it. And with this, we should be okay to go through the termination of this task order, which is September of 2027.
Any questions? Do we have a motion? We have a motion to approve. We have a second. We have a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
All right. And for reports and discussion, the executive director's report, a lot of really cool things that are going on with our binational, our International Border Crossing strategic plan, a lot of meetings. At the same time, TxDOT is initiating the update of the Border Transportation Master Plan. So there's a lot of things that are going on at the same time, and many of you have been invited and will be invited to participate in all of these. With a little more time next month, we can come in and explain how all of these different studies are overlapping and complementing each other. With that, I think that's it, Mr. Chair. Unless you want to stay here for another 2 hours.
Second. All right.
We can't adjourn.
We cannot adjourn. We just lost quorum, so.
Grab on, Murray. We get muted when he left.
Hurting kittens, man.
Don't even sit down. I'm elevator. Move to adjourn the meeting.
We have a motion to adjourn. We have a second. All in favor, say aye.
I second. We needed you for the second. That's what.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Now you.
Thank you.
Gracias, Miguel. Se acabó.